All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are excited to have with us this smiling face. You have probably seen it in our Achieve More community. Previously, Miss Kris Manuel, I have known her for years. I'm not going to say how many years because that'll kind of age me. But we have been friends for a long time and super excited to have her join in as the spotlight speaker this week. Kind of talking about some of the wins and learns she's had over the years. And as you can see up in that top corner. What? Hold on, let me get right up there. The Lucky Foundation. You're going to hear a little bit about the Lucky Foundation. We've talked about it, kind of giving you some sneak peeks along the way, but definitely want to promote this amazing organization and, have her share some of the stuff, some of the journeys she's been through. I've worked in the nonprofit industry for a long time, helping, in mountain biking with Sorba and IMBA, and, a nonprofit is not as fun as everybody thinks it is. There's a lot of challenging things. So I'm sure she's got some great wins and some learns that she's had along this journey. And even just, from a corporate perspective, some of the things she's learned, in management and leadership positions. So excited to have her share some things with us today. So Kris, I'm going to hand it over to you, and I look forward to hearing your story today.
Yeah, so thank you. Yeah, as Beth said, it's definitely not for the faint of heart at all. But I guess a little bit about me just to start things off. During the day, I'm a contender for the Desk Jockey Olympics, as well as a caretaker for my grandmother who has dementia. So hands are pretty full there. But by night, I am the founder and board chairperson of a phenomenal trailblazing volunteer team leading the Lucky Foundation. It's a 501c3 nonprofit that is driven currently by adventure enthusiasts throughout the country, raising awareness and initiatives to support the families of the fallen military and first responders. Along this crazy, very crazy, yet epic journey, many people have asked me what led me to take on such a beast of a project to the scale that I did. The truth of the matter is something that you probably wouldn't expect, but it wasn't planned at all. The truth is that it was more of a calling, as some would say. I literally woke up at 3 a.m. one morning with completely clear-minded, several different thoughts in my head. They were very detailed strategies, everything, how this could play out 10, 20 years from now in the long game, and how impactful it could be for the community on a national level overall. So I went to work immediately on the project. You know, hindsight now is taking a step back. I can personally trace my roots back to every single military and first responder branch. So it is a cause that I'm quite passionate about. But I'm going to speak a little bit more about the Lucky Foundation in a moment. However, what I want to do right now is pause for a second and be a little bit more transparent about some of the challenges that grassroots startup nonprofits and really any corporation or entity faces that are often overlooked by the general public, and the strength as a team that it takes to really persist, and especially in an instrumental development stage when forming your foundation that the entity is built upon to withstand the test of time and everything you're going to come across. In life, the majority of us try to remain positive, right? None of us want to be a bunch of negative Nancy's running around, but we try to promote our wins and be a solid influencer in the eyes of others. Oftentimes, many do not see the struggles or obstacles along that journey. And a lot of that stuff happens behind closed doors, 5 a.m., 6 a.m., when people are getting up, having their coffee. We're already plugging away at work. Could be the middle of the night. But there's also external problems where we face. We're human. Maybe our jobs, our families, our overall self-care, you and your team generally overcome those things together because you become like a family. But maybe we've got problems with our jobs, our families, self-care, whatever it may be, like I said, but you take those wins also from that and you just make it happen. I think in the beginning, though, one of the hardest aspects for me to rise above was the opinions of the naysayers. And generally, I'm not really one that really cares what other people think. But this was a cause that was really important to me that, I saw could really be very impactful on a national level, on a scale that nobody else had done before. There were so many different things behind the scenes going on that people just didn't really understand. But specifically those that I looked up to, maybe even at times mistakenly placed on a pedestal, right? It's easy to do that with people that we care about, but people that I thought had my back, believed in me, um, maybe would root me on for pursuing my dreams, right? So sometimes that could be your colleagues, your friends, and at times even your family. So you can imagine how painful and disheartening that was, and how to work through that and overcome. It was no small feat. But when it comes down to it, this really isn't about the opinions of others, is it? It's about your why and why you're passionate about what you're doing. So, what are your driving forces? I've personally been through many trials in life. I'm sure Beth can attest to that and has her own trials as well. But I've regretfully taken passes on my hopes and dreams in the past for the benefit of others, which without question has taken a toll on me over the years. Though I have to say, through this pain is how we learn that it's that raw vulnerability that wakes you up and pushes you forward against anything that's been placed in your path that's been drawing you back. If you learn how to use that pain for the better good of yourself and start using it as stepping blocks, then you can accomplish a lot with that. In fact, you generally become unstoppable when you realign who you are, what you want, and I'll tell you that above anything else, if you should absolutely never give up on something that you cannot go a day without thinking about.
Hey,
Um,
Kris, I do have a question for you right there. So, what do you feel like how did you really work through that? Because I know I've had it as well, but when you have those naysayers, when you have those people that are, that are so close and dear to you, people that you really call friends, that or you thought were really close friends, right? And they're sitting there, because I know I've had it, right? And you have to work through it. But what were some of the things, like I know you talked about your why, right? So when you understand what that
mm,
why is, it does make it easier. But for the audience, like what were some things that you did to work past that? Because it's hard when you've got, when you've got your family, when you got your friends, and they're telling you, don't do this, man. Like, why are you wasting your time on this? Like, what were some of the things that really drove you to that?
I had it was very disheartening and it was very painful to work through some of those things. And there's different things that have done this to me in life. So I'll speak on a specific one about the nonprofit and then maybe a broader one about this, just the situation overall, right? So for the nonprofit one, it kind of hit me in the heart, right? Kind of sucker punched me and drove a knife into my heart, twisted it a bit, kept me up a few nights. And then I finally realized that, if that one angel was sitting right next to me, and not that they wouldn't already know what's going on, but what would they say to me? Would they tell me to give up and move forward? Hell no. They would not. They would tell me to proceed forward, forget about all the rest. You're doing it for a great cause. Keep going. Um, because it's not about me. It's not about me. It's not about, well, it could be about you. It depends on who you're talking to in the community. But you're giving yourself selflessly to make the community better in a way that nobody else could repay you. So how could that be a bad thing? We're building something completely beautiful. So that kind of got me past that. And then that kind of turned on like a whole different side of me that I don't think that those people realized I had. And then that just drove me forward.
Right? So when they're
Um,
sitting there pushing against you, go, you can't
yeah, you're
do
just
this.
adding
You're like,
fire. You're
hey,
like adding fire to my steam engine, like, go ahead. All right.
you
So
just lit the fire. Thank you. I
yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah. And thanks for letting me get past my upsetness. Now I went from mad to okay, and then kept going. But I think in general, the way you have to work past that, because you get through that bum heart, but you need to take, there's that great phrase that it's okay to pause. And sometimes you have to pause because you have to realize, you know what your why is, but you also have to look at the people who are feeding this information to you and trying to stop you from hitting your goals or doing whatever it is that you're doing to better your life or whatever it is. Sometimes they're trying to stop you out of their own fears for themselves, because they don't think that they could do it. So if they don't think that they could do it, how could you do it? Right? But who are they to say what you can and can't do? You're the one setting your bar, not them. You know what I mean? So, you just can't let others, you can't let others set your bar. You need to set your bar high, but when you reach it, you need to set it higher and just keep going, because other people are just going to pull you back, and you'll never be able to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish in life if you're too busy living other people's lives. It just is what it is.
Preach on, sister. Don't live somebody else's vision,
It
right?
is what it is. You need to live your life in a way that you're happy with, not on other people's standards, not on other people's opinions, in a way that you wholeheartedly are happy, healthy, and content with. And as long as you're doing the right thing and doing right by people and right by yourself and right in life, then you're golden. But stop living on the opinions of others, because it's just going to change your whole trajectory into a path that isn't even yours, and you won't ever be happy that way.
I love it. I love it. That is so true. You know, that's
Yeah.
the thing, right? We set our standards, we set our beliefs and where we are based on other people. And when we do that, we don't live our true potential. We limit
Yeah.
ourselves. We set a ceiling for ourselves because we're listening to these naysayers that don't have the vision that we've been given, or the plan or the purpose.
Mm-hmm.
That's what our life is, right? And people will push that on you. Oh, you can't do that. Who says I can't do it? Clearly it's been
Right.
put in my mind. You know, all these studies as a man thinking, and all these other things go back into that whole mindset of,
Mm-hmm.
you know, if something is put into your mind, there's a reason for it. And
Mm-hmm.
you're supposed to act on that because it's been given to you to act on that. And when
Mm-hmm.
you don't act on it, you're not fulfilling that purpose. And it's exactly what you're
Yeah.
saying. You know, you got to get past those naysayers. So that's a
Yeah.
girl. I'm like, I'm in church. Let's do it.
It's a
Anyway,
hard one. Sometimes it's a hard one to do, because depending on who it is, I mean, and it'll affect your whole life. And but it's not their boundaries you need to be living by. Like, you
right.
need to respect their boundaries if it's part of like y'all's relationship together or something like that. But as far as like what you're doing in life and what you're pursuing and what you're trying to reach and the goals that you're driving and like how you're growing in life and how you're progressing, you need to start breaking your own boundaries and keep going. You know what I
Love it.
mean? Because there's so much that any of us could accomplish in this life if you would just take the first step.
Yeah. Take the step. You're designed for
So,
something amazing, right?
absolutely. Now, that being said, I mean, if you've got that fire and you're all lit up inside and everything, now you also need to remember that you need to remain humble and hungry and take yourself back down a notch, on that ego side, take yourself down a notch. But you've also got to remember that the greatest leaders that we have, they know they're not the smartest people in the room. And if you think you are, you need to get a gut check. And maybe you need to go find a better room to be in, because you need to have a few different mentors, 2 or 3 levels up from the mindset that you're at or the skill set that you were in. Maybe do some extra reading, go find some audibles, go get a great coach like Beth. She's an amazing coach. I got to give her props there. And not just because
Appreciate
I've
that.
known her all these years. She's a very good coach. But anyway, um, each day brings on significant challenges on the operations of our nonprofit organizations as well as other companies out there. The leadership teams, that's no secret. We're all human. There's a ton of things that we come up against. Um, but let's stop and think about it for a moment. Okay. Why is that, as an example? So, like with our nonprofit, okay, our organization has been so blessed by highly skilled, incredibly knowledgeable, sought after leaders. Often they have their own businesses as well, who are showing up with a shared passion behind the mission, which is incredibly great. And they're doing it completely out of free will to be volunteers, to help the communities that we serve, the families who have just lost their fallen hero, their everything, to help wrap their wings around the families in any way that we possibly can. Right now, we're trying to extend our outreach by partnering up with additional nonprofits, other initiatives, and also world-renowned doctors behind the scenes. Now, we're not publicly talking about that on our website just yet. That's kind of like an insider's thing, so we're not going to go too far into it. But and everything else that's involved, I mean, everybody that's involved is taking a part of that, and we have a solid backing to what our why is together, and that is truly powerful. When I've got my why and I've got 15 other people growing to 50, and by the end of the year, 155, we have projected out, and we all have that same why and a shared vision. Maybe it's a little bit different. I mean, that's powerful that we're all doing it out of our free will. But without question, you know, they're unstoppable. And our leaders do rise to the challenges with ingenuity, compassion, resilience, fortitude, and integrity every single day. I couldn't imagine doing this without my team that we have now and the ones that we're continuing to build towards. I mean, they're phenomenal. They're absolutely wonderful. But it takes us all to build something to the scale of this magnitude. None of us could do this alone. It's not possible. So on that, just a little bit more. I mean, there's so many, it's hard not to speak about this because it's so I'm so passionate about it, but there's so many different ways that we can honor our fallen heroes, their families, and their sacrifice. It's a huge sacrifice that they've made. It's the ultimate one, right? But from volunteering to donating, we individually pay our respects for those that fight for our rights and our freedoms to help protect their families from harm, give the ultimate sacrifice for their line of duty. And for that, we do owe them our lives. I count my blessings every day for that. And I think that we are lucky enough to stand together and carry out this amazing mission to fight for those families as well. And it is with that strong holding bond that we've been able to breathe life into our tagline for the Lucky Foundation, which is let united compassion keep you. But it's in times like those that our leaders need the masses and to stand together shoulder to shoulder with us to help encourage, and we encourage you to take a stand. I mean, we need all hands on deck for sure and to take action. So if you were somebody maybe interested in being such an intricate part of the foundational growth of our organization, or would just like further information, please feel free to visit our website at theluckyfoundation.com. Reach out to us. We'd love to connect with you. And just know that your generosity and any compassion, any capacity, I'm sorry, is greatly appreciated very much.
Well, Kris, you shared some insight today. I think that's extremely valuable, from talking about being vulnerable and knowing, that there's people that aren't going to support your mission, which is unfortunately because sometimes our visions are just too big for where that person is, right? It's not their vision, so they might not understand it. But then there's something about collaborating with people who understand that vision. And I heard that very strong, that's definitely a win. And, having been around so many military families, even at my time at the W, we had an Air Force base, right? And a lot of my friends are, they're married into a military family, or, I've been down by Fort Benning. Like we've lived all over, lots of different Air Force base and Army bases and military bases. And we have a lot of military friends, and my heart is, it truly, I love my military families and I love those who serve. And you are right. There are many people that give the ultimate sacrifice and they leave behind families. And this is definitely a foundation to where I wanted to make sure we highlighted it, because it is something that is truly doing something that is going to impact lives and leave a legacy for people for years to come. And so, I'm super excited about having you here and us being able to spotlight it. If y'all haven't heard about it, again, theluckyfoundation.com. We want y'all to check that out and see. She's got a ton of volunteer opportunities. This is a young organization. I've already had some other friends that have jumped on board. as part of this, and super excited to see where this organization goes in the years to come. And if you love the outdoors, like, it's even better. Like, why not? So
Yeah.
all about adventures and raising money and funds and just having a great time. So, hence our backgrounds right now, right?
Yeah.
We're all about the outdoors. So I'm super excited to see what comes. But thank you so much for sharing your time with us today and we look forward to hearing more about y'all's successes in the future. So again, if y'all have anything, just reach out to Kris. She'll be more than happy to answer any questions y'all have. Again, theluckyfoundation.com. Look forward to y'all finding out more about it in the future.